play a Sicilian, play the openings you've been afraid to play. Heck, play a dubious opening. What?
Play a hippo. Just
play a hippo. Play something, right? I mean, play the Bond Cloud. I was obviously joking, but do anything, you know?
Yeah, I just think that there's such a difference in choosing a risky opening that may, cause destruction versus that moment where you essentially know you're making a bad choice. That's like a very different thing. And of course, I have so much respect for Jan Nepomniachtchi. I want to reiterate that a million times over. He is such a great player. He's so fun to watch. This has not been his stretch of games.
Right.
But that decision just feels like I just can't accept it.
Yeah. Awkward.
I think that Magnus prolonged the struggle a little bit because instead of knight f5, which is the move we mentioned, he could have played, if we just go back one move, he could have just played e takes f2. And here he wouldn't have to calculate a single detail because queen takes f2. If king f2, there's queen h2 winning a queen. And if queen takes f2, rook to d6. And I think you just resign here. There's no way to stop rook to g6. You lose your queen for a rook, and black has an enormous material advantage. So Magnus actually, I mean, his move was winning, but he did at least allow a few more moves in this game. Because I was thinking, how does black like clearly win this now? And like the most obvious move is knight to h4, because it threatens two mates in one. And white has to deal with it with f takes e3.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, and then knight f3, king to f2, queen h2, black's like, I want a queen. King f3, queen c2, dc7.
Now
White might save the game like this. Because rook f8, rook d8, you cannot stop that queen from promoting. And if rook takes d1, maybe black has a better queen ending. But okay, we're no longer talking about black winning the game, clearly. So d6 was a good chance. I think it's not good. I mean, black must be winning here. I'm not sure what the cleanest way is, but there's
take.
Yeah, it's still cd, f, e3, and knight to h4. Yeah. White plays, I guess, rook to f1 and accepts a really, really bad position.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. It's not
White's losing, but it's not
as
game
clean
over
as
instantly.
Magnus
Yeah.
played, and I think he probably realizes it now as we take a look at Magnus with head in hand. He's like, maybe that wasn't the cleanest winning strike, but.
Well, it's sort of difficult emotionally to adjust to this because he was thinking, okay, this game is headed towards a draw for sure. He was like, it's just 100% rook d4 and what we were saying, right?
Yeah.
This is going to happen. And then he's suddenly winning a move, and it also happens to be that winning in a move means that he wins the match. It ends it, right? On the spot. So it's tough to adjust to that emotionally, which is maybe why he chose knight f5. Well, we also chose knight f5, so we can't really be critical of this move. But it
was a human attempt, and frankly, is still winning.
It is winning.
He's nervous.
He's nervous. Yeah, he's about to win his 5th World Chess Championship title, and
yeah, he still obviously is in the driver's seats here. But yeah, you can see that he's calculating, he's triple checking, he wants to end the match right here, and he's definitely nervous because he cares and because there's a lot on the line, right? Like, you make a mistake as black, and all of a sudden white's back in the game. There's extra material. Now, obviously the position is winning for black. You have a huge attack. You're not even facing a material deficit, but I can understand why Magnus is sitting and thinking here. So it's just, he is 32 minutes. He's plenty of time to deliver the knockout. But as we were showing with Fabiano's variation, like, there are ways to go wrong. You think you're winning the queen, and all of a sudden there's a pass pawn for white that you have to deal with.
It'd be a funny line.
I think cd6 is a pretty good way to do it because after fe3, there's a very simple move, which is just saying, well, I'm up 2 pawns. I play knight takes e3. It's a fork. I win your rook. And you can play whatever you want. Queen e2, I guess. I don't know.
Note that pinning the knight to the queen does not work because of a new problem called checkmate on g2. So there's no other move than to
I guess
move the queen, and
that even loses another piece.
Oh yeah, because you also have this check in the end. Okay, so sorry, that doesn't.
No, but after queen e2, it's pretty much just as bad because black takes on d1, and then also picks up f4, and that's 3 pawns. Probably 3 pawns usually enough to win. So yeah,
at my level it is.
Not always. I can think of a game or two. Sorry, Anish.
Yes! Oh, that burn was so good. Grab it. Grab it. Yeah, come on.
Oh, if I must.
Yay! That was so.
That's actually, that pose was taken right after the game in the candidates where he was 4 pawns up and
Yeah, fun fact about that pose, it was taken right after.
everyone was thinking that Anish would win a game, but then he silenced them.
The artist formerly known as Anish Giri. All right, well, what a wild ride this has been over the last few weeks, and we have had some really great moments, some really great chess, and especially in the first half of the match where on the edge of our seat we were, thanks Yoda, and expecting it to continue to be that way, a real dogfight, even after, as is now known to be a historic victory in Game 6, the longest game in World Chess Championship history, that ultimately proved to be even more of a blow for the challenger than we first thought, because the wheels came off after that game.
Can't underestimate psychology in chess.
Yeah.
Because to be at the top level, stronger than myself at this world championship stage, you have to be firm in your objectivity. You can't lose sight of it. You have to calculate. And there just felt like there were moments in this match where Jan played a little bit too quickly. He sort of lost the thread of the game, and then everything fell apart. Yep. And it wasn't just inaccuracy. There were real blunders. And Jan is a phenomenal chess player. Like, I think that's also what I'm a little sad about, is that when people think about this match and they sum it up, that people unfairly malign Jan Nepomniachtchi's career based on this performance. And this is a performance that Jan will not be particularly proud of, I imagine. Mm-hmm. He was so good in the candidates. He earned his place here. He nearly reached 2,800. He obviously has been such a great player for so long and still is a great player. It's just a shame that some of his worst moves came on this stage, an event of this magnitude, in front of so many people who may be tuning into chess for a rare occasion for the first time. And so they haven't seen the brilliance of Jan Nepomniachtchi the way that anyone in the chess world. Fabiano's faced him over the board so many times. We've commentated on his matches. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard because as a commentator, you have to talk about what's happening here. And at some point, we just have to throw out opinions and make our feelings felt. But at the end of the day, I have nothing but the utmost respect for Jan Nepomniachtchi. And that's, I think, in part why it's sad, mm-hmm. because we know what he's capable of. Mm-hmm. And he didn't get to show the world that in this match.
Well said. And I'll only add a little bit to it, because difficult to follow that up with just, as someone who actually predicted and said, I thought Jan had a chance to win this match. It wasn't me, it wasn't hyperbole, if you will, right? It wasn't just for drama. I know that in hindsight, okay, it obviously looks like I was clearly way off the mark, but the first 5-6 games was how I thought the match could go, and because of what I know Jan is capable of, especially in the rapid and blitz formats of chess. He is one of the most talented players in his generation, and we know how good he is at putting pressure on his opponents and being a dynamic player. I thought that there was a decent chance this match could go to tiebreaks, and therefore a decent chance that Jan could shock the world. And it wasn't just something I made up, even though I do have a PhD in BS that particular time. It was, and so just to double down on what you said, it's disappointing precisely because of all the reasons you said, because of what we know Jan is capable of, because of what we know this match might have given us, should he have been in a different state of mind and kept his composure after that legendary Game 6. But either way, you still have to tip your hat to the world champion who, yet again, in an ominous shot here, is the only one at the board working hard to cement his legacy and his place in history.
Yeah, this is, I think we spoke about critical moments, and I do think we would have seen a different match if Game 2 had gone differently, and especially if Game 6 has gone differently.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of ways that Game 6 could have gone. It was a 3-result game. It ended up being Magnus doing his typical torturing for many hours, grinding down thing, but there were moments when he was at risk of losing, both because of the clock and the position. And there were also moments when it felt like it was heading towards a draw.
Yeah.
We were for hours shifting between, well, Magnus might win this game, and it looks like it's going to be a draw.
Quite literally, it was nearly an 11-hour broadcast in Game 6. So yes, for hours.
Yeah, I think we'll remember that game as a turning point in the match, like a very clear turning point in the match, and also a super exciting game, a game that was full of content. But yeah, that was pretty much the last game. It feels like
it's very
like after
very
that
weird to...
there was just not much. It never felt like Jan had a realistic chance after that game.
It's weird because it was a breakthrough of epic proportions. Again, if you missed Game 6, do yourself a favor this weekend if you were planning on watching more World Championship coverage here. Your schedule just opened up because this might be the last game. But watch that epic Game 6. It was so great on all the levels Fabiano said. But it turned out, Robert, it was also a breakthrough, obviously putting Jan on his heels. It was the first decisive game in classical chess in more than 5 years of the World Chess Championship, right? It was the longest game in World Chess Championship history. And now we know it was ultimately the game that broke the challenger in so many ways.
Yeah. And I think that everyone wanted it to be the best game amongst great games.
Yep.
And it was the best game amongst games. The great sort of left the equation at some point.
Yep.
And both players know that. And we should also give credit to Magnus Carlsen.
For sure.
Because he was able to withstand pressure of his own making to some extent in Game 2. In the game that he won, the epic Game 6, he was in danger of losing as well. He was down to his final seconds. He played some really interesting chess. He mixed it up. And both players deserve a lot of credit for making that game what it was. And then after that, Magnus never put himself in any danger in a way that other people would. Like, well, let's continue winning while my opponent's down. He said, why do I have to force the issue? Let me just play my solid, good chess. I can make my opponent comfortable. He feels he needs to win. I said before the match, if I'm speaking like Magnus Carlsen, that he can be a streaky player. And if he loses one game, the wheels can come off and then he can keep losing. So Magnus Carlsen is a worthy world champion. He has been since he wrested the title.